It's Friday, August 7. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Enough is enough. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says that in addition to using moral persuasion to get citizens to adhere to COVID-19 safety protocols, the government will now move to tougher measures such as prosecution. Mr. Holness was speaking at a virtual press conference on Thursday.
We have spent a lot of time and effort and resources on moral suasion, asking you, the citizens, appealing to your good conscience and your reasonableness to observe the protocols. With what is happening now, I think we are at the limit in moral suasion. I think whilst we will continue our advertising campaign, we will continue to encourage, we will now have to move into another phase of managing the pandemic. We have sought to address it by appealing to the good conscience and reasonableness of our citizens. And indeed, my own view is that we have the majority of Jamaicans who are reasonable and who try their best to comply. But we have some weak fences. Some people who believe that they have some special immunity to the disease. We have some people who it would appear that they would do everything possible not to observe the recommendations of authorized sources.
He also said that residents, including non-citizens who are returning home, must now submit to home quarantine.
I can say that we have decided that residents and Jamaican, well, the term to appropriately describe would be Jamaican residents, including those who don't have a Jamaican passport or citizenship, but who live in Jamaica. So anyone returning to Jamaica must go under quarantine. Anyone who is visiting Jamaica must go on quarantine. Now, as it relates to persons coming to visit the resilient corridor, those persons will continue to be under the stay-in-zone order.
The Prime Minister's stance comes as the country sees an uptick in the new COVID-19 cases. On Thursday, the island recorded 30 new COVID-19 cases. The island now has 958 confirmed positives. Of that number, 745 persons, 52 cases have been repatriated, and 12 persons have unfortunately died. The Church Corner area in St. Thomas is now under quarantine for 14 days. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, made that announcement.
North, the boundary will start at the intersection of the Morant River and the Bustamante Bridge and will continue in a northeasterly direction along the Roselle to Morant Bay Road to the roundabout and then continue along the perimeter of the Red Hills Cemetery to the intersection with the Summit Boulevard and then easterly where Stony Gut Avenue and Paul Place intersects. Then the boundary will continue southeasterly for approximately 0.2 kilometers to the intersection of Summit Road and Summit Grove and then due east for approximately 0.3 kilometers to where it meets the river. East, the boundary will continue in a southerly direction along the river to where it meets the coast. South, the boundary will continue from where the river meets the coast and then continue in a southwesterly direction along the coast to where it intersects with the Morant River. And west, the boundary will continue in a northwesterly direction from the coast along the Morant River to its intersection with the Bustamante Bridge.
The area of interest spans approximately 0.9 square kilometers and is bounded by a 4.3 kilometer perimeter. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton will be touring Church Corner in St. Thomas and Sandy Bay in Clarendon. The coronavirus COVID-19 spread in Sandy Bay, Clarendon, started among the congregation of a church. Dr. Tufton gave an update during a virtual press conference at Jamaica House on Thursday.
Again, I want to say it took a case in this instance of one individual who came back from abroad. We initially discovered that there was an issue based on a presentation at the Maypen Hospital. We traced back to the home of that individual. 5 members of her family were infected. 1 member is a dominant player, a pastor or deputy pastor of a particular church. The contact tracing led back to the church where it was discovered based on another person who was positive to another church where the team visited, where church was in session, and as the team describes it, absolutely no protocols were observed in terms of the physical distancing, the wearing of masks, and persons were closely seated. There were 3 members in the church at the time when they were visited that had symptoms. They were ill, so they were coughing, and of course that led to quite a number of members of that church being infected. It was eventually discovered that the deputy pastor of the church had come back from the US and was positive, and that seems to have been where it all started.
Acting Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Dr. Kassan Troop, says operators and staff within the early childhood sector have been trained in necessary coronavirus disease 2019 protocols to safeguard children. Dr. Troop says operators are slated to reopen September 7, adding that they will stage their simulation activities and phased resumption, as well as training and protocol engagements. Dr. Troop says in light of the Health Ministry's recommendation against the wearing of masks by children aged 0 to 2 years, strict physical distancing and sanitization protocols must be observed at early childhood institutions. Hope for the future and the determination to meet challenges. These were the recurring themes throughout the Independence Day messages from Governor General Sir Patrick Allen and Prime Minister Andrew Holness, as well as opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips.
Today we celebrate the enviable fact that our democracy, even with its limitations, has remained stable for 58 years. We, the people, have successfully voiced and participated in our democracy and must continue to do so to ensure that all of us can benefit from our status as an independent nation. As we enter this new normal environment, we must display the resilience for which we are known globally.
A new Jamaica is emerging, filled with hope and optimism. We have made significant investments in strategically upgrading our civil defense and national security assets, incorporating technology to create a safer Jamaica. We have delivered a record 20,000 housing solutions to improve the living conditions of our people. We have diversified our energy mix and increased our investment in renewables. We have increased youth engagement through the HOPE program and the expansion of the Heart NSTA Trust. We have spent a record amount in welfare protection and strengthening our social safety net to protect our most vulnerable. We have made unprecedented improvements in our roads, bridges, water, and other infrastructure. We have bolstered our public health infrastructure and improved our service delivery, which enabled us to successfully manage the pandemic and other health threats.
Our athletes have established themselves as the best in the world. Our culture, our language, our food, our way of life has caught the imagination of the world. As Buju Banton tells us in his winning festival song, no matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican, beautiful smile, God-fearing people known across the world. Jamaica's status is a reflection of the innovative capacities and brilliance of our people.
Dozens of Jamaicans are set to receive national honors and awards come October this year. The awardees include Jamaican-born sociologist and Harvard University professor Orlando Patterson, Education Minister and long-standing politician Carl Samuda, and Senate President Tom Tavares Finson. The other awardees include former editor-in-chief at The Gleaner and the newspaper's current acting general manager, Garfield Granderson, late Northeastern St. Anne Member of Parliament and former Labour Minister Shahini Robinson, as well as Cedella Marley and opposition spokesman on industry and global logistics, Anthony Hilton. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has given the assurance that he will ensure that tourism entities comply with COVID-19 protocols. We get to this and more in this extended edition of the Business Report with Gabrielle Thompson.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says he is committed to ensuring that tourism entities, especially the small and medium tourism enterprises, SMTES, are COVID compliant. The minister gave this assurance during a recent tour of tourism entities in Hanover and Westmoreland. He said the Tourism Ministry, in conjunction with the Ministry of Health, has been constructing initiatives to ensure COVID compliance of the small and micro enterprises. The Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF, through the Linkages Network, has been at the forefront of ensuring that small players in the sector have personal protective gear available to them. The Tourism Linkages Network has been donating tourism protective kits that include infrared thermometers, touchless hand sanitizers, touchless garbage bins, buckets retrofitted with pipes, as well as masks. Minister Bartlett says the protective kits, which are valued at 20 million Jamaican dollars, will be distributed across the island to 500 small tourism entities. Small and medium tourism enterprises, through a mixture of loans and grants facilitated by the TEF and its partners, have also been given a lifeline with access to over 2 billion Jamaican dollars in funding to help them retool and rebound amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 2,686 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 81 stocks, of which 39 advanced, 32 declined, and 10 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 24 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments, AMG Packaging and Paper, and Berger Paints Jamaica. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living, Access Financial Services, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were Honeybun Limited, JMMB Group 5.75%, and JMMB Group 7.25%. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial was the volume leader with just under 2 million units, followed by Wicton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares with 1.6 million units and QWI Investments Limited with 1.4 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Thursday, August 6, ended trading at $149.08. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $113.17. The pound sterling traded for $195.04, and the euro ended trading at $177.93. Oil dipped below $45 a barrel on Friday on worries that a demand recovery would slow due to a resurgence of coronavirus cases, although a pledge from OPEC member Iraq to cut oil output further in August provided support. Brent crude futures fell 31 cents to $44.78 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures slipped 39 cents to $41.56 a barrel. That's it for the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
The PBCJ gave you live streaming of the Jamaica 58 Independence Spectacular on August 6, held at the National Arena. In line with current social distancing measures, so there was no audience at the venue. The virtual Jamaica 58 Independence Spectacular was woven with music, drama, song, and dance, focused on the theme Wheel and Come Again. Here are the highlights. The day's events, organized by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, started with highlights from the Armed Forces Day 2020 parade.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, this is what is called the shuffle. The shuffle is a drill technique used to quickly get oneself aligned and covered off into their position. This is done to ensure that the soldiers on parade are properly aligned in rows and columns whilst observing the correct social distancing, thereby ensuring a neat formation with enough space so that the reviewing team can move freely between ranks.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the Governor-General, His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen, were among the dignitaries in attendance. After the pageantry and precision display by the Jamaica Defence Force, we switched gears to the National Arena for the Wheel and Come Again show organized by the JCDC.
Everybody can do the twist, but everybody can do the ska. It's a new dance you can't resist. Ska, ska, ska.
Because the train is coming, baby. I said train is coming now, now, now.
There's a love that I have heard about.
This culture is the main culture that every other culture pulls from.
Crowd of people come get in and they grow trouble. Did they move? Did they move? Come crowd of people come get in and they grow.
Say we rise to the top, cause we know what it takes.
You want no Jamaica? You not go see them pan no beanstalk, no Goliath. No underestimate David, show him so quiet. Some make Isaac a parrot.
No matter anywhere in this world I go, I am a Jamaican.
Later that evening, we gave you more positive vibes with the virtual street dance, which ended at midnight.
I can feel I'm losing you, baby.
Yes, I am. Teach them, Jenny. Everybody should be moving right now.
Because give me banger phone, it's not a scammer phone. Me love me granny phone, that a the banger phone. Grand dancer, and your party, crowd of people, they must feel again. Hit the move, hit the move. And me a pray, and me a pray, and me a pray, and me a pray, me a pray, and me just get a better.
Dance all night again. Everybody put your one in the ear. People smile again. It's our 58th anniversary.
Agenda, I, so lift it up, agenda, I, agenda, I. Operator, don't be confused. Listen to the rhythm and the
Happy Independence, Jamaica.
I don't want you to think you have been used, agenda, I.
What are the latest trends and happenings in Jamaica popular culture? Alicia Steele has the pulse of the people. Let's join her now for the entertainment recap.
Clark's collab shoe deal, Reggae King not paralyzed, Emancipation Day cancelled after Supreme Court, rules against dreadlocks in schools, and many more. I'm your host, Alicia, and welcome to Entertainment Recap. Jamaican-born footballer Raheem Sterling is the face for A Bathing Ape, or as we know it, BAPE, and Clark's Originals collaboration. The two massive fashion and shoe brands have joined forces to create new iterations of the British shoemakers, Wallaby and Desert boot models. Jamaica played a massive part in the rise of Clark's Originals in Western culture throughout the 1960s and 70s. It's only fitting that a Jamaican-born athlete should be the face of the brand. The Desert boot, a shoe which was invented by Clark's, arrives in two different brown tones and features BAPE branding, sporadically lasered print across the shoes. The shoe stuff, man, I lie. This includes statements such as "Ape shall never kill ape," the brand's infamous ape head. The BAPE treatment is also given to the Clark's Wallabies, with the brand's camo print covering the sides and the option of either a blue or pink toe box on offer. Calendar this date, recappers. These kicks will be released on August 8th. Havana has released her new EP, Be Somebody. Work on this project began more than a year ago. Be Somebody's arrival was preceded by 2 singles, If You Only Knew and Mango. Love it like mango. I love the song anyways, which has been receiving great, let me tell you, me love the song and not just me, airplay and rave reviews for its striking visuals. Coffee keep the trend going after dropping visuals for her song Lockdown. The Grammy-winning reggae artist now drops her new single on iTunes and also available for streaming on all major platforms called Pressure.
Under the pressure, yeah, under the pressure, if you're poor, trouble take away now. We cheat in a second, cause we all under pressure, my friend.
Was Emancipation Day cancelled by internet lawyers, judges, and juries? On the eve of Emancipation Day, Jamaica's Supreme Court ruled that Kensington Primary School in Portmore, St. Catherine, could ban a 5-year-old student from attending classes because of her dreadlocked hair. According to the ruling, the school did not breach the 5-year-old's constitutional rights when they denied her access to school because of her hair. It is a ruling that has drawn the attention of many Jamaicans who viewed it as systematic discrimination against the Rastafarian community. The Rastafarian image is one of the island's primary symbols when it comes on to tourism. Local entertainers such as Buju Banton, Pbcj, Beanie Man, Bounty Killer had a lot to say about this matter.
How do you feel about Rasta? What Rasta mean?
I love Rasta. Because Rasta is some people who try to bring the culture and the heritage and history to the people. You understand? Rasta is the one who came about singing about the struggle and the life that we live and with ups and downs. You understand?
So yes, once again, Rastafari is on a threat. We have come a far way, now to a point where even the herb league and everybody make a money off of it, but you still hamper our education and our children's ability to be educated in your schools. And I see that as discrimination, because you'd have never done that to a Jew and asked them to move, or a Muslim to remove their kufi, which would be religious discrimination. So why you want the Rastaman children and to trim them here when you refuse to give us our own schools to educate our children in the way that they should be educated? Because we refuse to be what you wanted us to be, you know. We can't be that anymore because our eyes are opening and the people's eyes are opening every day. So them background master judge and them look up stisting and ism schism whoever go on a Jamaica fight against Rasta. Rasta for wake up and become industrious. Yes?
Thanks for watching PBCJ's Entertainment Recap. I'm your girl, Alicia. Follow us on all socials at PBC Jamaica. Special thanks to Air Candy Collection, of course. Also follow them on Instagram at the Air Candy Collection. Just remember, always and forever, big up you!
In regional news, Guyana's new health minister, Frank Anthony, says the government will be revamping the approach to the COVID-19 pandemic. InfoHub's Delicia Haynes has that story.
Shortly after being sworn in on Wednesday, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony said one of his immediate actions as minister is to provide a more coordinated response to the COVID-19 pandemic locally. Based on his early assessment, he noted that the previous government's approach was disjointed, hence he is seeking to address this.
What we found that it was also disjointed. And when I started asking for what are the plans, how you're doing, what you're doing, and so forth, I found different agencies had different plans. Nothing was in sync. They weren't coordinated. And so that's a major problem.
The minister said due to this, the response to the pandemic thus far has been ineffective.
One of the things that we'll have to look at is how we bring a new structure that is more responsive to the pandemic and make sure that there's participation from various ministries and sectors who want to get involved with the response to the epidemic and the country as a whole.
In addition, Dr. Anthony noted that frontline workers have not been adequately supplied with protective equipment while testing kits and other items are limited. This will be corrected with efforts already put in place. Minister Anthony assured that revamping the COVID-19 response is a main priority of the PBPC government. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
A High Court judge in Trinidad and Tobago has ruled there is sufficient evidence for the bribery and fraud matter involving UNC candidate Dr. Moonilal and the Estate Management Business Development Company, EMBD, to go to trial. Crystal Wilson reports.
After a 3.5-hour-long summary of details relating to the matter of Namalco, Fides, Calco, TN Ramnath and Company Limited, and Motilal Ramit and Sons, and Dr. Rudal Moonilal, against the Estate Management Business Development Company, Justice James Aboud delivered his ruling virtually. The EMBD's lawsuit against Dr. Moonilal and the others allege breach of fiduciary duty, cartel behavior, bribery, collusion, knowing receipt, dishonest assistance, and unlawful means conspiracy. TTT News understands the EMBD's case against the contractors allege that with the intention of enriching themselves and injuring EMBD, knowingly procured and or obtained the EMBD contracts, certifications and payments from EMBD by reason of collusion between themselves and others that was designed to ensure that specific companies were awarded specific contracts at inflated amounts and received payments that were not due. It's also alleged that the former minister and certain representatives of EMBD participated in what was described as the cartel arrangements and or inappropriately sought to favor contracts. In delivering his ruling, Justice Aboud added, there's also evidence that a tenders committee was not involved in the award of contracts for 6 EMBD contractors. Justice Aboud read from text messages exchanged among those allegedly involved in defrauding the EMBD, who are said to have benefited substantially from inflated contract costs. In some instances, Justice Aboud said the overpricing amounted to as much as 80% more than the estimated contract costs. Attorneys have requested time to consider the ruling before making further submissions on August 21st. Crystal Wilson, TTT News.
In sports, we begin with athletics. Olympians Merlene-Ottey and Deon Hemmings-McCatty were announced among the sporting figures to receive national awards later this year. Ottey, who is 60 years old, will receive the Order of Jamaica, the country's 4th highest honor, on Heroes Day in October, while Hemmings-McCatty will be awarded the Order of Distinction Commander Class. This is the second time Ottey will be honored, as she previously received the Order of Distinction Officer Class. Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association President Warren Blake recognized their latest achievement, praising both for what he says is paving the way for the excellence that Jamaica currently enjoys in the sport. And over to football, Jamaican agent Devon Porter has maintained that a number of footballers with Jamaican heritage living overseas remain interested to represent the Reggae Boyz. The England manager has requested a meeting with 4 players born to Jamaican parents, including Leeds United midfielder Calvin Phillips, for Friday afternoon. According to Yorkshire Evening Post, Calvin Phillips who was born to a Jamaican father, has received contact from the English FA as they try to cap-tie the 24-year-old in a competitive fixture for the 3 Lions in the UEFA Nations League in September. Porter recently approached Phillips to inquire whether he would be interested in playing for Jamaica. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.